Hey guys, it's Navonod for part 2 on this new series for beginners. We're going to focus on framing hands based on relative hand value and our opponent's mistake propensities once we find them. So we'll kind of explain as we go what these concepts are. They're very important. So our opponent's going to give us an opportunity straight away to just go ahead and raise and see if he's going to be doing a lot of limp folding. We have air, we have no showdown value, so there's nothing really to lose by making a C bet here and just hope that he folds. I don't expect villain to fold all that often on that board, but if we bet half the pot, he's only got to fold about a third of the time for it to be an okay bet. And I expect that should be okay. Okay, what kind of hand do we have here? Can we bet get called by worse? Will he fold better? Probably not, so we check back. What about now? Well, now I think we can bet for value against draws, and he's not really showing us that he's going to be very aggressive with his draws because he would have led, but not worried about being check raised off the best hand. So I think we can kind of value bet there. And also, it's not terrible if we just fold out his live cards, and it's probably better that we fold out his live cards and deny him his equity share than to let him free roll if he's not going to be, if there's just nothing really to be gained otherwise. This is a flop. I expect he's going to bet an awful lot. I have pre-flop raiser, but I just didn't have enough equity to do anything about it. I would like to check raise that type of a flop pretty frequently. Okay, another thing to notice, well, here we go. What's our relative hand value? I think we're closer to showdown value. The turn gives us 3 of a kind, and it opens up a flush draw, so we can get value from draws. And even at that point, if he had a draw and check raise, we're not folding, so we don't have to run the risk of betting for value against a draw and not being able to actually get the value because he check raises and we fold. Pause and go back and rewatch that hand because that was really weird. If I had more time, or I guess if I had a way to do it, I'd like to go back and take a look at that hand and reconstruct the whole thing. But it is a little bit taxing to play and give content at the same time. But I thought it turned out fairly well, and I'll try to fill in some of the gaps with my callouts, which are the blue things that are on the screen as you watch. I'll try to fill in some of the information gaps with those callouts when I go back and watch after I put my, well, hopefully, put my money in my account. We're betting this flop here, planning to barrel a bunch of turn cards, and we had backdoor draws. Here we have a finally hand, and we have no equity, so we're at the bottom of our range. We may as well bet as a bluff. That is not a particularly scary card, so I really don't see that there's much. I mean, we did pick up some equity in a gut shot, but I don't think it would be very effective to double barrel bluff the 7 because I don't know what hands are going to call on an ace jack 9 flop, the 2 hearts, that are going to fold once the 7 comes off. So now we just have to make a decision. Do we have the right pot odds to call gut shot? And it's close, but I think, if he were to bet here and allow me to get in a check raise, then we've probably got the right implied odds. And it's such a tiny bet that he made. It's probably not going to be detrimental. And then sometimes we'll pick up like an 8 and check, and he'll check back, and we'll win a showdown. But it was probably close anyway. But yeah, I like this just kind of free flow format. I think I'm going to check back here and just try to get this hand closer to showdown. We pick up a draw. Now, I think this is really close. We can bet. I don't think he's going to call us with worse hands. I don't think he's going to fold better hands. But he's probably got some equity against us that we wouldn't mind getting rid of. And plus, by checking back, he's not really shown himself to be bluffing very often. We're not inducing a lot of bluffs by checkbacks, with our checkbacks, but yeah, I think it's close, and I think it's even close to value betting here because he could certainly have played like a pair of 2s that way. So like a really thin value bet might have been okay. The only reason I think that it's not good against this player is because he did that kind of really strange check raise when he picked up a 10 on the turn a few hands back. That was very telling, and actually it has helped me to dial in on his strategy. I kind of am getting a feel for the way that my opponent plays, and really the way he thinks about poker. Probably just, okay, here's a pair of jacks. We're going to open this for sure. Not a great flop. We could, I think it's close. I would like to check. Terrible card. Yeah, just a really bad run out for the jacks. Not much we can do about this. It's going to happen sometimes. I think I call a small bet and I fold to a big bet. If he checks, I probably just check. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to call this. This is noteworthy too that he rivers the nuts and makes a tiny bet. But also bear in mind that I played my hand pretty weak, so he was really probably betting against my range, thinking that I probably didn't have anything real big. And here we just have a really easy standard lead. He's going to call with worst because our relative hand value is value hand. We have a value hand because we can expect that if our opponent calls, we will still have the best hand greater than 50% of the time. So the way that we make lines, the way we come up with our lines, is we use our relative hand value. And really that only comes in a few, and this can make the process very simple. We could check raise, we could check call, or we could lead with the gut shot and the overcards. And now, yeah, I think his bet with the sizing just looks too value-y, and we're just gonna bow out. I actually think that I would have preferred to lead. I think I should have went ahead and led that flop or check raised that flop. Check calling was probably not the best option. We have framing hands based on relative hand value and your opponent's mistake propensity. Involves just kind of once the flop comes out, compare your hand to the cards that are out there and what you assume your opponent's range is, like what kinds of hands he's going to be holding, and determine, do I have a bluff, do I have a value hand, or do I have a draw? So basically we're going to have either a value hand, we're going to have air, we're going to have a draw, or we're going to have some kind of showdown value or a bluff catcher. And we want to tend to value bet our value hands. We want to tend to bluff with our air. Depending on how often our opponent is calling, we can bluff more or less frequently. We don't bluff every time we have air. But we ought to be inclined to bet with our air. We ought to be inclined to bet for value with our big hands, our value hands. And with our showdown value and bluff catcher hands, we ought to be inclined to not bet, to check and call or checking it closer to showdown. And if you do just those things, you're going to have a pretty big edge against these small stakes players that really don't seem to have any kind of an idea about showdown value, bluff catcher, air, and draw. And the way that we're going to play our draws is going to depend very much on our opponents. If our opponents make, because we really are only going to be playing against, once we figure out our opponent and we're framing our hand out, we only really have to imagine playing against a few different opponents. Your opponent is either going to make too many calling mistakes, too many folding mistakes, or he's going to make aggressive mistakes. Most of your opponents are going to fall into one of those three basic categories. You can either expect that he's going to make aggro mistakes by betting and raising when he shouldn't. We're going to expect him to make calling mistakes, calling with hands that he shouldn't call with and going too far with second best hands, paying us off too much. Or folding mistakes, where he's going to be folding more often than he ought to. And you could say that some players will have passivity mistakes. They'll just play too passively, check too frequently, but mainly it's the first three. So if we learn how to play against those three player types, your players that are overly aggressive, calling stations, and too tight, so your nits, your payoff wizards, and your station, like your payoff wizards, your nits, and your maniacs, surprised that he bet that big. See, based on back when he got small, when I had obviously like a showdown value type hand, I really thought that had he been value betting there, since I took a pretty passive and weak line, he would have bet smaller. So that looked like a bluff to me. Like he recognized again that I had some kind of showdown value. Thought if you bet big, I would fold. Basically, I leveled myself. That's what you call leveling yourself. But yeah. This seems like a metagame thing, like we just had that little exchange, and I think maybe I might be about to level myself again. But I believe that he's making a really big bet here, trying to level me. And leveling is kind of like rock, paper, scissors, really. If you're 2 levels ahead, you're 1 behind. And sometimes you just have to go with the raw hand strength that you have. And I just want to ship it here before. I mean, I'm tempted to let him bluff his chips off, but there's just too many bad cards that can come and either allow him to get away from his hand, stop bluffing if he's bluffing, or cause me to fold my hand incorrectly. Like that jack would have been kind of scary. Yeah, so let's definitely see if we can rematch this guy. Oh, God love him, he's going to take us up. I'm sorry, so we're going to have our opponent mistake propensities and our relative hand value. And if you learn how to think in those terms, like, do I have a value hand, do I have a bluff, do I have a draw, or do I have showdown value or a bluff catcher? You only have 1 of 4 hands on any given flop. And you're only playing against calls too much. These are your opponents. You're playing against calls too much, is too aggressive, or folds too often. And if you use those 2 concepts, and you really get your head around those 2 concepts, they kind of, your lines will sort of create themselves. We could rep this king, but I mean, I don't think he's going to fold anything better. I don't think he's going to call with anything worse. So I think we just check and see if we can get it to showdown. The pot size bet, since it seems to me like most players, when they put in a pot size bet, they're pretty unlikely to be bluffing. I already got to 4th street. I had no equity. I was either slightly ahead or miles behind. We check back here because we have showdown value. We have like a bluff catcher. We are unlikely to be able to bet the flop, bet the turn, and bet the river and get called by a worse. So if we're going to go for 1 or 2 streets of value, it's probably best to check back the flop and look for that value on the turn, and then maybe also the river. So by checking back on that ace, king, X with my pair of kings, I stop myself from losing the max. I'm not going to lose 3 streets when he has an ace, so I cut my losses when I'm up against an ace. I might get more value from second best hands because once I check the flop back, they may become suspicious and call me down lighter. And in fact, they generally will call down lighter. I think we can barrel here, and he's going to fold probably a lot of like busted draws and like 5x. So I think we have a profitable bluff there. Yeah, so when we check back something like second pair on an ace king 6 board, we can get lighter call downs. So like if the villain hadn't spiked to 6 on the turn, then he likely would have checked and called at least 1 time, maybe 2. Where if I would have just raised pre-flop and then bet the ace high flop, he may have folded straight away. Also, if he has nothing, if my opponent has air, that was just kind of unfortunate. If my opponent has air and I check back, he very likely will stab at the flop, or at the turn. So he will bluff the turn when I check back on the ace high board showing weakness. Okay. I definitely want to bet at least pot here. There's so many second best hands, and now I don't even hate him over that, because I think this is going to be a spot where he's going to be fairly inelastic. I don't think he's going to fold the king almost regardless of what we bet, and I don't think, I mean, he's not going to call us with nothing. That's going to be a spot where probably villain is he's just either going to call or he's not, as long as we got something reasonable, so we might as well go for a higher amount. I mean, if you had like a busted heart draw, it's not going to call us no matter what we bet. Oh, nice. Yeah, and he had the king, so works. And we're just going to start out with, we can go a little bit bigger because it's a kind of, well, I don't know. I think actually betting smaller, like just half pot on that board would have probably made more sense because that's what I'm going to be doing most often with my bluffs. So for balance-related reasons, and also because I want him to call me with like his ace highs, I don't want him to be able to fold ace highs, and I want to give him room to bluff me too. So actually, I think I should have went a little bit smaller. We're just going to run like God, I guess. I think now we check and call. I think he will just be more likely to make aggressive mistakes than calling mistakes once that third heart hits. That's a mistake that our opponent made that we won't make. And anytime he's making mistakes that we won't make, those are our edges. That's how we win in this game. He had a perfectly good showdown value hand that he turned into a bluff. His two pair there's no way he's going to make that bet. And the way the hand played out, I'm never going to call him with the second best hand. And I'm probably never going to fold a better hand. I mean, he really just kind of, that was a prime example of somebody who doesn't know how to frame their hands out and construct good ranges. Now, we've got a gut shot, nothing to brag about, but I think the last time I made the mistake of calling, I think leading is better. And we could barrel this card, or we could not barrel the card. And I think we can bet here and just try to fold him off of his draws. And he should have some diamond draws. He should have some gut shots, bottom pairs, and like a pair of fours, a pair of threes. None of those are going to be real happy with the queen and 10 runouts. So yeah, I think we sized our bet. Really, even just a half pot size bet would have been, I think, sufficient. But I just wanted to size the bet a little bit bigger to just make it look a little bit more believable. And this is a spot again where there's not going to be any hands that call me on the flop and then fold on the turn, because that turn's basically a brick. Now I think we could raise here. Again, folding out his draws. We would have ran right smack dab into it that time. I was close too. I did think about it. And the effective stack sizes, remember, it's only our opponent's stack size that matters. And with the effective stack sizes here, I think that just going ahead and ripping it in is going to be best, because we don't really want to induce jam. Like we're not going to be able to raise and then fold, and with pocket sevens or like pocket fours, we just assume he folds, and we just take the win. But know that if he does call us, then we're going to be probably a little bit better than 50%. So that's just going to be a profitable open shove. And when you're, geez, I am running good. Now we can maybe think about inducing. If maybe I can bet something small and get him to spash shove with like ace 2 or a little baby pair or something. Hold the deck. Alright, that all went pretty quick. I wasn't able to get out as much information as I really wanted to. I had to, play hands. But I think what I'm going to try to do is try to make up for it by adding a lot of call-outs, just to demonstrate and kind of explain my points, which you've already read if I did that. So, and if I didn't, then never mind. That was never the intention. So yeah, hopefully these videos are kind of not so bad to watch, and hopefully we are learning stuff and really just learning how to think. That's the main thing.